games are still seen as a boys' club, even though nearly half the gaming population is female. So, how did things get this way? Let's start from the beginning and talk about geek masculinity. Games were invented by young men, which made a profit from young men. When games developed from arcade to console, they continued to be designed for young men. These males found solidarity in one another and a space they could escape from the typical notions of masculinity in a culture that highly values masculinity. They gained power and profit not from their physical and manly capabilities, but from their esoteric hobbies. This all has made video games into a boys' club in which a certain type of boy is invited. From this boys' club developed geek masculinity, a new power defined from these men isolating themselves from traditional notions of masculinity, in a space they would have to continually reassert their dominance over in order to protect it. And guess who threatens that space? Women. Since there's nothing more anti-masculine than femininity, girls were invited to the party. This is why the term geek is immediately associated with being male and why the term geek girl and gamer girl exists, as though the gender needs to be specified as we are separate from the larger gaming culture. Today, dominance over the space of gamer culture is asserted in various ways. In game design, it is through sexist depictions of women. These depictions function to place a higher value on men, and I discuss them extensively in other videos. The sexism against women in games and geek masculinity have created an isolated community as well. Through geek masculinity, sexist depictions of women, and an isolated gaming community, female gamers are alienated in order to maintain the dominance of men.
I definitely do think that the gaming community is hostile towards female gamers.
They'll use every kind of slur they can think of off the top of your head. They'll call you a bitch, they'll call you a cunt, they'll call you a whore.
Bitch, whore, things like that.
Well, I'm gonna rape you, and oh God. They'll make all the kitchen jokes. Guys make all the fucking, well, go back to the kitchen. You need to go, make me a sandwich.
Oh no, you're some fat guy in your mom's basement, or stupid things like that.
They call you slut, they call you, they go for days.
You just want the boys' attention, or you're fat and ugly and nobody likes you anyway.
Can't think of any female gamer I know who hasn't been threatened with rape at one point or another.
I haven't been threatened sexually in horrible ways, but I know of a lot of people who have.
Well, we get more specific hostility for just being women. Men will give each other hostility because, oh, your skills suck, etc., but we'll get shit for just being a girl. It's not even skill-based. It's nothing more than just, you are the inferior species, so I'm gonna treat you like shit now because I have the right to.
Customers will refuse to talk to me because I'm female and I obviously don't know anything about games, so they'll go talk to the guys.
Or they'll idolize you and be like, there's like this girl in a video game, I have to in this multiplayer game or something, I have to just be attached to her at all times and help her because she obviously can't play herself, and wow, hot gaming girlfriends, ooh, it's stupid.
Every once in a while they'll be like, oh, there's girls on the internet?
What's your address? What's your email address? Give me your information. I want to talk to you more. How can I do all these things with you? And it's really creepy. And it's this weird pedestal that they put you on because it's like, oh, but you're a girl gamer, so now you're just this amazing fantasy woman that's going to fulfill all my dreams of relationships because you understand my passion for this, of gaming, and that makes you perfect. So I'm just gonna stalk you now.
There was one guy who's like, here, I got you this maid costume. Or here, I got you a new mount. And I was like, thanks, I think.
It's uncomfortable in a different way, but they're both very uncomfortable to be, dismissed because you're a girl and then to be pursued because you're a girl. It's frustrating.
I always turn my mic off unless it's a group game where it's just people I know. I don't play with my mic on at all because then that gives people a cue that, oh, hey, this is a female. And then that gives them the green light to harass me.
I used to play Halo alongside my little brother. And when I had the headset, people were either, oh yeah, it's a girl, she's awesome, or oh God, I don't want to talk to you, put your brother back on because we shared a headset.
No, I hardly ever speak up, and I try not to have, usernames that are, like very female identifiers.
You're a common target if you're female and you let it be known. So most of the women I know who play online games don't even make it known that they're a girl.
Just the way that society has taught boys that it's okay, and how, walking down the street and it's socially acceptable for a guy to be like, hey, baby. It's definitely the same online, but more so because you don't have the uncomfortability of a face-to-face interaction, so you can say whatever you want online.
I see a lot more hostility online since there's the whole anonymous feeling that people have when they're behind the keyboard.
Because you're anonymous, you aren't responsible for the sort of like the impact you're having on other players. I mean, especially with women, threatening them with, I'm gonna rape you, I'm gonna find you, I'm gonna do all these things to you. They aren't realizing the kind of paranoia you're instilling in women, that you're encouraging that things like rape culture and abuse can be a positive and empowering thing for you to use against someone else as a weapon. And that's a really, really bad thing to perpetuate.
Since gaming was originally thought of as male-dominated, people want to keep it that way. And despite the fact that about half of the gamers out there are female, people still don't really want to accept that or let go of that power. And it just has to do with dominance.
Gaming and how it's created is made for men. It's male dominated. It's about men, like lead male characters. It's about fulfilling their needs, and putting female into that is kind of disturbing the balance of the male zone.
I definitely think that video games are seen as a boys' club. Thankfully, it seems like there are some steps in some parts of the community to try to change that.
I think that it's starting to become more accepted as, in general, women in gaming, even just working for a major gaming retailer. Sometimes we'll get people who come in and they'll just say, wow, there's women working here, or, I've never seen women working in a place like this. So sometimes we garner more respect, other times we don't, but I do think that it's starting to become more socially acceptable.
The gaming community is a strange place for female gamers. We put up with so much just to play the games that we love. It's unusual for me to get into an online game without receiving attention for being female. Either I'm seen as some kind of magical, mythical being, or I'm a piece of trash. That is why most of the time I try to stay hidden, afraid to use my mic, and I'm not alone in this. I get threatened with violence and rape. Guys say I suck after they find out I'm a girl, even if I'm doing better than them. And I get all sorts of sexist insults, such as go make me a sandwich or get back in the kitchen. Then there's the male players that are overly flirtatious and think I'm some kind of rare gem. They'll insta-friend me after finding out I'm a girl, give me free stuff, start up conversations by hitting on me, and talk about how cool it is that I'm a girl that plays games. Why can't I just play a game as a normal person? Whether the attention is hostile or flirty, I don't want it. And I'm not the only person that feels this way. The treatments I get depend on the game that I'm playing and which platform it's on. Different games attract different players, and platforms have different fan bases. Perhaps the constructions of these games and the ideals they enforce are the cause of these varying behaviors. I also want to note that my experiences in online games have been improving, most likely due to anti-discrimination rules. And maybe, just maybe, girls are slowly being accepted as fellow players. The gaming community extends beyond online gameplay. At game stores and events, I'm scoffed at, my opinions aren't respected, or I'm hit on. I want to be able to go to these places and meet some genuinely cool and interesting people with similar hobbies without being subjected to these treatments. And I also want to point out that it's not only males that are doing this. Female gamers and geeks are hostile towards each other. I'm not sure why this is, other than perhaps they've adopted the sexist attitudes themselves. People that are speaking out against sexism surrounding games are also treated poorly. Their challenges to sexism, no matter how sound, are constantly seen as feminist rantings, and people attempt to tear them down by using argumentative and logical fallacies. Well, how do you think feminist film theorists were treated when they began speaking out? Now their ideals are essential to film criticism and our understanding of media. Now, I'm not saying that I agree with all the points made by fellow video game analyzers, but the fact that they are speaking out against a media should be embraced and encourage us all to think more critically about what we're consuming. All of these sexist treatments are to maintain a dominance of geek and gamer culture. Females in the gaming community, whether they're analyzers or just players, are targeted because their presence is threatening. Males also discriminate against each other using homophobic, anti-feminine, and racist insults such as fag, pussy, and racial slurs. This is because gay men, women, and non-white people challenge the heterosexual white male dominance. These insults are a way of asserting power. These players are invested in their geek masculine identity and are desperate to protect it. But there's enough space here for everybody. Video games are becoming a huge part of our culture. They're expanding to larger audiences and developing into a powerful medium. But elitism, sexism, and alienation are causing an unwelcoming community for players. The construction of video games is partially to blame, but gamers have control over whether or not they perpetuate this problem. Let's make games fun to play together. I'm Misty Berlin, and thanks for watching.